Welcome to another session of Python Fundamentals. In this video, we'll be discussing loops, right? So in the previous video, we learned about conditional operators and how we can use them to make decisions in Python with conditional statements such as if else, if, elif, and else, right? So remember the if was, we're just checking to see if a condition is true or false, and based on the outcome of that condition, we execute a statement. And then we have the if else where we have two possible outcomes, right? So if this condition is true, we do this. Else, if it's not, we do another instruction. And then we have the if elif structure where you can check multiple conditions, right? So in this session, where I'm going to introduce the concepts of loops, or we could think of it about iterations with Python, right? This is used when we want to perform an operation repeatedly for a number of times, right? So in Python, we have two constructs to execute this iteration, and they are called the while loop and the for loop. All right. So, and the objective of this short video will be to just, by the end of this, we should be able to learn how to read, comprehend, and trace and create Python programs that use while loops and for loops. So what is a while loop and what is a for loop? But before we get there, remember these ones, right? So don't forget them. Comparison operators, we'll be using them in the structures because both these structures, or constructs rather, the while loop and the for loop, there might be some conditional statements that you will need to execute, and you might need comparison operators to do this, right? So let's explain what a while loop is, right? So if you look, what is a while loop? Essentially, the while loop, the Python for while there is something to do, right? So while this condition is true, right? So the while loop will only execute when the condition is true, right? So that might be a bit confusing because sometimes you might say while false, while this is equals to false, right? And if it's not equal, okay, but let's not get into that. So while this condition is true, execute this code, okay? So if you look over here, hopefully you can see my cursor. So while the condition is true, do this. So we're going to enter here. So is this true? Yes, then let's execute B. Then it's going to, when it executes B, it's going to go back and check the condition. Is A still true? Yes, continue to do B. So it's going to enter this loop continuously until A becomes false. And when A becomes false, it's going to end the while loop and then continue with the rest of the program, right? If you have anything that's executing below this. So essentially what happens is here in scenario, so you start here, while A is true, you're going to execute here, execute B, and then there's going to be a modification, right? So that this does not become like an infinite loop.